Okay, we're live?
Yep.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Public Site and Building Commission, Wednesday, March 11th, regular meeting. If you please all stand and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, public input, there is none. Any additional correspondence? There is. Okay, so we're going to talk about the regular meeting minutes from Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, which was our last one. Anybody have any comments on them this time? Okay, I make a motion that we accept the regular meeting minutes from Wednesday, February 25th, 2026's meeting.
Second.
That's okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, accepted. Thank you, Kathy. I know.
Oh, abstain, sorry.
Oh, that's right. Dave has to abstain.
Oh. Is that okay that we only have three then? Two votes?
Usually if that's a thing, you usually say, something like make a motion that you approve the minutes as submitted. Something, I don't know why.
The thing is, actually Dan just talked about this recently at one of the PUC meetings. And it's basically, as long as you've read the minutes, you don't have to, it's like you're fine.
Yeah.
So you're okay.
Because I thought if a person had to abstain and there wasn't a quorum voting, that you had to read it. If you read the motion differently, it was fine.
Right.
Okay, well, those have been approved. Thank you. As far as I know, there is no new business. So we will start with the old business. And the first item on the agenda is the Bethel High School HVAC upgrade project. And we have Mark Dupre from STV. And thank you for your nice notes from the OAC call, which I couldn't attend the other day, but I read through them. So how's everything going, Mark, with the project?
Well, we continue to make progress, and the goal of the team is to be substantially complete by the end of the month. John Mangelli has completed his punch list. So that has taken place, and that punch list has been shared with Jason Harvey from Save More. Jason understands that we wish to get the project substantially complete by the end of the month, and that we also understand that air balancing and some of the commissioning things will still lag further behind, but that's just the way the construction works, and especially when it comes to commissioning and testing for commissioning. So we should be substantially complete, fingers crossed, by the end of the month, with the exception of commissioning reports. We should have balance reports, which is very important, but the testing cannot be completed until the system is actually in cooling mode, which won't be for a few months. So that's kind of the nickel explanation of where we are. Most of the electrical work is completed. There's still a few connections and actuators that need to be done for the exhaust fans. But again, this was yesterday morning, so I'm suspicious that they're working this week to try to get those things done. They've got a couple of uninsulated pipes that they need to take care of, specifically room 218. They've got to remove a abandoned rooftop exhaust fan, which is still pending. And we've gone over the owner's manuals and the requirements for as-built drawings with Save More. and they're aware of what we're expecting from them. So, let's see, what else do we have? I mentioned that already. We asked Jason to put a photo log together to go alongside with the completion of the punch list items. And he said he would. That'll give us confirmation that all of the punch list items are done. And then I asked him to put together a short line item schedule of anything that's outstanding, including, projected use for or projected work for the commissioning agents, as well as the balancers when they come out to do their balancing report. Still, that is pending. I'm waiting for that. But I also spoke to them about providing lien waivers, partial and final lien waivers in the next coming applications for payment, so that we have all the paperwork we need to submit to the state for reimbursement. So, and in a nutshell, that's about where we are. There's nothing substantial that is holding us up from completing at this point in time.
So Mark, a question, in your minutes, you said that you'll have a OIC meeting next week and then skip a week, and then the last one hopefully will be the end of March.
Yes, ma'am.
If you are finding that stuff's not getting done, are you gonna kind of push a meeting for?
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Is there any training or anything that needs to happen for the operation of the systems for the maintenance staff?
Typically I would say yes, but I think Tyler has already spoken with Save More about that and the BMS system operators, but I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for Tyler.
That has not happened yet, but yes, Save More is going to owe myself and my head custodian training on the BMS. Honestly, I'm not concerned about that happening. As soon as the controls for all the new equipment are actually on the BMS, I'm completely confident that it's nothing I haven't seen before. But I'm going to hold Save More to giving it to us because they owe it to us. But I don't really expect it to be tremendously valuable to get their input on it. I think it's going to be very industry standard and probably nothing that I haven't seen before. But they do owe it to us, and I'm going to make sure that they give it to us.
Okay, thanks.
Mark, in the punch list, I noticed that there was a lot of items related to piping and valves and incorrect piping. Is that a big deal? Is our systems going to have to be shut down and purged and drained? And is that, it's a good question. Is that going to be a big deal?
No, there, I don't, I'm looking through my meeting notes right now. The only thing that we have outstanding is uninsulated piping.
Mark,
I didn't see any with valves.
I didn't make the meeting, obviously, but the commission might not realize that this week. In your notes, you didn't refer to that, but in Kohler Ronen's report, which Kohler Ronen's report is a accumulation of all their previous reports plus their most recent walkthrough for punch list. I saw those notes in the first few pages myself. I think they might actually be old notes that are already closed out, but excellent question, and we do need to validate that those have been corrected and they're no longer issues.
Yeah, I couldn't tell because in some items, Kohler Ronen had, item completed, or whatever, but in a lot of them they didn't, and they didn't really have updates in some of them, so I wasn't sure. It looked like a pretty extensive list.
It did look like a pretty extensive list. My understanding, I don't know if Mark will be able to comment on it. I'd hoped to make this week's meeting, but got tied into other things. My understanding is Kohler Ronen hasn't received the official confirmation along with photos and written documentation from Save More, that those items have been corrected, but that Save More has indicated that they had been corrected. So I think the working assumption is that they have been resolved, but we need hard proof of that. We need the photos. We need Save More validating that.
Correct.
Right,
Which is noted in my minutes that they've got to provide photos and responses to the site visit reports.
right, and then Kohler Ronan will have to, if, you know, like Tom said, if there's some that say date added to list, and it was way back, but it hasn't been, it doesn't have a date that it was corrected. Kohler Ronan will have to verify that it's been corrected.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd say maybe have Kohler Ronan, or maybe we can follow up on this before next Tuesday. And then if you feel like none of the items are being checked off, maybe then have your OAC meeting.
I hear you. I agree.
Yeah, so if you do bring it up on the 17th but you're finding, or whoever's there looking at things, whatever, or you get the report and it's doesn't have dates on it as to when it's corrected, then you might have to have a meeting on the 24th.
Right. What I plan to do is send an email off to Jason Harvey either tonight or tomorrow and ask him to start giving us a list of everything that has been corrected and what date it was. And to have it ready, or at least in the works, for next Tuesday's meeting.
Because something
Rather than wait another 5 days, let's tell him that we expect him to be reporting and recording everything that's completed.
right. And so the date corrected lines, underneath some of the photos, it does says contractor to provide response and photos of correction.
Right.
But it hasn't been done yet, so it's not in the corrected.
Right.
Yeah, or corrected column. Some of them go back to May. I think it's, like you said, a conglomeration of,
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of old notes as well as new notes, and we should talk to Kohler Ronan about cleaning up and removing the old notes that are no longer valid.
I think it's okay that they're in there because it shows a continuum of like, all right, they didn't correct it this month, they didn't correct it the next month, they didn't correct it the next month. But once it's finally completed, put it in that outside column so we don't have to look at all of them.
Agreed.
Yeah, because to us, it appears that this punch list was just done, and then 40 items or 44 items are
Yeah,
still
right.
incomplete yet.
Which is typical, I think, I recall from Kohler Ronan and either other design teams, well, they'll have this ongoing, every time they go out and look at stuff, they put something on a list. If it's been corrected, they don't take it off, it just stays there and shows that it's been corrected. So we can make sure, like if we have questions, then we know to go back and look, and they can look at it too and see that it's tedious and time consuming to have to look through it all. Especially
Right.
not to get to be lots of pages.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on any other questions from anybody or,
No, I think that's it for me.
okay?
Tyler or Jen, do you have anything that you need to bring up?
No, I mean, we just need to see the thing through the completion.
Yeah, yep,
I agree.
thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So we have two invoices, this is the
Yes.
next topic, from Save More and STV.
So we'll start with Save More. I make a motion to approve Save More Cooling and Heating invoice number 18572 dated 2/20/26 for the amount of $39,124.07.
Second,
We have a second. Does anyone want to discuss this?
well, you went back and forth a few times, I guess, and got updated and Kohler Ronan signed off on it, so I guess it must be okay.
We made sure that, Kohler Ronan reviews each of the tasks, listed in the G702 to make sure that they are compliant with the end of the month date and the completion that is being requested, or the percentage that's being requested. And Kohler Ronan was very much on top of that.
Okay,
And the application for payment went back and forth a couple of times before obviously it got to the point where Kohler Ronan was willing to sign off on it, and we were willing to submit it to the commission.
okay, thanks.
So my only question with that is the wire tracing. So they're billing in full, which is fine. They did the wire tracing, but have you still not seen any of the backup tickets, timesheets, any of that stuff?
From the electrician, right?
I have not seen the backup on that.
So Tyler, do the fans work?
Well, this is for just the tracing.
No, tracing, but
Jason, yeah.
The controls wiring is not done on the fans, so still not sure. Mazzati has indicated that they re-fed the electrical to all the fans, and I bumped into SNE middle to end of last week on site. They were on site to work on the controls wiring. I believe it was actually in Mark's update. Last I had heard and or read in Mark's notes from this week's OAC meeting were that SNE was waiting on the damper motors for the exhaust fan dampers so they could finish their controls wiring. So long answer to a brief question. The short answer is, as far as I know, the fans are not active yet because control wiring is not complete.
okay, thank you.
All right, so we can put this to a vote, but Mark, I know you want, partial lien waivers as kind of part of the closeout. Maybe we can get the backup for the change orders as well.
I will ask for it, absolutely. I had asked for the backup on the change order to begin with, so thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, because this work was done in November, I think, or December.
The tracing was done just, I want to say January.
Oh, was it January?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Maybe they finished it.
yeah, we approved it. We approved it in December.
January, I think it was done in February, early.
So just so everyone's aware that what's left is retainage of 190,000 plus, and balance to finish is total of 250. So there's about a $60,000 balance after this 39,000. That doesn't include retainage.
Okay.
Okay,
So we have a second.
Yep, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Invoice approved. I make a motion to approve STV invoice number 1474 dated March 10th, 2026 for the amount of $1,183.
Second.
Okay, wait a second. Any comments, questions?
Nope.
No? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, invoice is approved.
All right, so I think that's it for the HVAC project. Thank you, Mark, on that.
You're welcome.
Everybody else? All right, so the next item is the Bethel High School roof project. Let me just get that folder. Okay, so evidently, and Jennifer approved it. All right, so any update, any schedule from when they may be coming out to start?
I've been playing phone tag with them this week. As of Monday, when I got on the high school roof, between the rain we had late last week and the warm weather we've had this week, all snow is melted. Everything that Silver Petrocelli and Associates need to be able to see is visible. I have not actually spoken with them. We've been playing phone tag, but I left them a voicemail indicating that the roof is fully visible and we need to coordinate them for their site visit. I did miss a phone call today, a return phone call. I have not even had a chance to listen to the voicemail. So I'm not sure if they were suggesting dates, but either way, I intend to return the phone call tomorrow morning and try to lock in a date for the site assessment.
Okay, so soon, hopefully this month, within the next week or so.
Yeah, that's what I would assume based on the last conversation I had with Silver Petroselli and Associates, when I gave them the update that if we hadn't got that last snowstorm, we would have been good. They said, let us know once the roof is clear, and we should be out in a week or two once we know we can get there. So I've notified them this week. I hope to speak to them tomorrow morning, and I'm hoping that they're out end of next week-ish. So hopefully there's a more thorough update for the next meeting.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Anything to add to that, Jennifer, as far as the contract or anything?
No, we're in good shape, and I think I heard you mention that I approved that invoice, which is accurate, so that one is ready for you guys to review.
Jennifer, I have a quick question. I noticed, and maybe you could speak briefly about it. I noticed our last meeting and one of our last OAC meetings, I received an AI summary of those meetings. Is that something?
Yeah, we
Happens
will.
automatically.
I was gonna say that was I didn't realize that was happening. I actually signed up for that tool so that I could read something that someone had given me, and I didn't realize it was making those AI summaries. So I have since turned it off. So you should not be getting any more of those.
Okay, I didn't see it on your screen tonight, so
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was a new Board of Ed thing or something we should all be aware of.
No, it's not. It was an AI tool, but I didn't realize that it was doing that, so I shut it off. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about
I
that.
liked it, Jen. I liked it, Jen. I wanted to use it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
All right, so I make a motion to approve Silver Petroselli and Associates invoice number 26-217 dated 2/1/2026 for the amount of $500.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any other questions, comments? Nope. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes. Invoice approved.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next topic.
So thanks, Tyler, Jen, and Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Mark, you
Bye.
If you don't need me, I can jump off.
I don't know, do I?
Hey, Mark, do you want to stick around? We have the architect for the highway garage roof,
Sure.
and I know it ties into our conversation from earlier, so.
Yes, that's
It's
why I
not.
was sticking around. Sure.
Okay, so, good evening, Mr. Tarantino, Gary. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time.
Sure. Hello.
Okay, hi. So we received.
And we have, you can't, I don't know if you can see him. Eric is here. Eric Swenson.
Yeah, hi, Gary. I'm off camera.
Come on over.
Hi.
Hi.
You can hold here if you want. I'll move over this
Yeah.
way.
Yes. move on.
You're good. We don't need to see you.
Okay, so, Gary, we have a few potential questions for the reports. We just thought that maybe you want to give a summary of, your findings and or, conclusions of the roof structure that you may want to recommend, that we follow up on.
Sure. Well, the big item is the roof itself, the roof panels. The structural engineer basically said repair is really not a feasible way forward. You have about 10,000 plus square feet of roof panels that are 51 years old, the metal panels. They're in a pretty advanced state of deterioration. Water has been sitting on them for decades. In some places, they've been repaired and repaired. They are a custom proprietary system because this is a prefabricated building. So you can't just go buy panels off the shelf and replace them. So that's kind of a big deal. If you did try to replace them almost panel by panel and customize panels to replace it, it would be very time consuming. And you'd have people working up on your roof for quite a while. Also, those existing panels act like a diaphragm that keeps that roof structure rigid, like a piece of plywood. So you couldn't just take off a large section of panels, even if you could fabricate and get panels to match or to fit. You can't just take them off in a reasonable size area of repair, because then the roof loses its stiffening capacity. So I'd say that's the biggest thing that came out of our walkthrough. They basically said it's just not feasible to try to repair this roof, the roof panels themselves. And we had talked back and forth, the engineer, myself, about the existing pitch of the roof doesn't work. It pitches to the sides as well as to the garage door side. But yet the water still collects there. So even if we replace the panels, we'd have to do some kind of customized roof structure or go with a EPDM and insulation system that would properly pitch it. So it's like a root canal. Trying to repair that would be a real arduous task. Yes.
I was just saying, that's a good way to put it.
A roof
Yeah, it's
canal.
very
Way to put it.
labor intensive and very I wouldn't say it's fraught with danger, but you just open up a can of worms. They're trying to repair, which we came to the conclusion once he said the panels are history, just to span over it, leave the existing roof. This is our recommendation. Pitch it the new roof, pitch it the way it should be pitched. It's brand new. It's going to be inspected by, the engineer, special inspectors for the structure. You're going to have your 20 or 30-year warranty on the membrane and the insulation above. And you don't have to get into demolishing the existing roof and all the associated issues that arise with doing that. You have utilities there. You have an existing roof insulation that kind of drapes over the joists. The other complication is if you actually try to stiffen the existing structure, I don't know how many welds you'd have to do to weld and stiffen the existing bar joists. So many of the existing bar joists can't handle current code, according to the structural engineer's analysis. So between the roof panels and the roof structure, it's in our opinion, much better and easier and probably cheaper to just span over the whole thing and build yourselves a brand new roof. And I did a drawing in my report, a sketch.
And then we noted any of the existing roof penetrations, exhaust or anything, you would exhaust them out the walls of the building. So you would direct out, if I'm correct, out from the walls and not up from the building, right?
Where we could, when we did this, we have a mechanical engineer who, part of his proposal is to vent out the sides and eliminate as much rooftop equipment as possible. I don't know if you have something existing that we can't do that with,
Right.
but that's the general concept, is to avoid putting stuff up on your brand new roof.
Okay, so that, I think many of us have taken a look at that. And so that's mainly for the north building or the northern part of the roof, but for the balance of the roof over the vehicle garage and that extension, what was the roof assessment for that? We didn't see that in the report. As far as for the rest of the building, we only see for that northern, for the,
Yeah, I
That
don't know.
was-
No, I
that was-
sent today.
Go ahead.
No, I brought this up in the email I sent. I don't know if you had a chance to see it or not.
I did, and my engineer responded, that was never part of our scope of work to look at the newer portion. Our scope of work and our proposals were written on the roof that was in dire need. The rest of the garage was not part of our scope of work.
So,
well, I believe the proposal said for the steel roof, general. And I think when we spoke to John Matz about it, he basically said that it was either implied or the communications were for the whole building, because we're very, concerned about the rest of the building. And I think he shared that before he left the town of Bethel, employment, he said that he either spoke to you or the engineer and said the rest of the roof looks in fairly good shape, may need to be patched here or there, whatever, and then a membrane potentially covering the existing roof. But we don't see that in any anything written. And he also expressed that Torello and him went into the other bay in the vehicle garage area. And right away, the engineer said, oh, I don't really have to go up in the beams. This is a certain design. It's whatever it's called. I don't know what the truss structure is called. He said that, that looks suitable. And we thought he would mention that also. So there was no mention of the other parts of the building, which we want to do the whole project, not just, the whole roof structure, not just the northern part of the building.
Do we?
Again, that was never part of our scope of work to do the whole building, since we started this. Never a discussion about getting into the other section at all. And I have an email here from somebody who looked at Nancy Ryan.
Yeah, that's me. I just was looking at the report where it said the north, the subject
Right.
structure, northernmost building, two connected garage structure, of the two connected garage structures. Southern connected building is not part of the scope of this investigation.
Right.
And then it says, there's a couple other things I highlighted just to ask questions if I needed to. But my understanding is the other section doesn't have the same type of proprietary roof panel part of the structure. Yes, no, anybody? Disagree, agree?
Well, it's not the same roof design, right, as the
Right,
first.
right.
It's
It's
a
a
separate.
newer roof. It was done at a different time.
Right.
is it the same style roof? Is it diaphragm metal panel roof?
I don't know. It was never mentioned, never part of our investigation ever. It was always the northern section, which was the one that's in so much need. Never got into that. I mean, he may have had a casual conversation with the engineer walking around, but certainly not in my scope of work, not in the structural engineer scope of work.
Gary, when this first kicked off, did you guys integrate with general drafting and design, or did Jonathan contact them directly?
I brought general drafting and design on. They actually did work 8 years ago when we first got involved here. And so now with this go round, it was only logical to bring him back around. And he is working on a proposal. John, if I remember, wanted Gary DiFilippo of General Drafting and Design to do sprinklers for the entire building, all of it. And in addition to the ventilation and whatever was needed for the northernmost section. So we've had a bit of we had quite a few conversations about sprinklers. Eric and I think we've talked a few times about how to bring water in. You know, this is for future, that you have an existing 6-inch water line. So Gary is still working on getting insurance quotes for the extended insurance the town wants. And he's looking into one more code issue. If we go ahead and build a new roof over the old roof, we expect that space will have to be sprinklered with a dry sprinkler system
So
in addition to the building.
well, the reason I ask is if we're gonna hang all these sprinkler pipes in the whole building, wouldn't there be engineering needed on the existing trusses and joists and whatever's in the vehicle section or the other section that we're,
The newer building, I would suppose so. I mean, I'd be surprised if it would need to be reinforced to handle sprinklers, but I would suppose there might be some need.
Okay, so I
I'd be
think-
very surprised if you needed any strengthening in the new building, but
or there would have to be
it's not
some,
impossible.
right, but there would have to be some kind of assessment made. And I guess that's where the disconnect is, because General Drafting and Design notes in their proposal that the entire building is gonna get sprinklered. So I guess we're all confused as how, one engineer knew that the whole building was done and the other two engineers and architects did not.
This is because he was asked to do it. And you can't just sprinkler part of a building. In other words, it started out with myself and Gary Torello doing the northern section. Then they asked about General Drafting and Design, but for sprinklers, and that from the first conversation, it was to sprinkler the whole building. So we got involved with the part of the building that's in dire need, and then bringing the engineer in, they added the idea in the scope of sprinkling the whole building. That doesn't mean I have to go now evaluate that roof because they asked the mechanical engineer to do sprinklers there. It doesn't extend my scope automatically. My scope is based on, on my proposal. Likewise, the structural engineer.
So the assessment from 2017 is also just for that section,
Yes.
okay? And was it
That's
the,
what Colliers did?
no, well, since
No,
2017,
that's
was
what
way,
Oh, okay.
he did this architectural assessment in 2017, and a different engineer did an assessment also.
Right.
And that's been up in the shared drive. And then Eric sent it out again.
Gary, when the original was scoped out in 2017, was that based on a prior assessment of the entire building that identified the northern section as the failing section?
No, I was basically asked to come and look at the northern section. So the other
Okay.
section was never involved in any of our conversations going back 8 years.
Okay.
All right, well, we have to decide where we go from here, because the town really wants the whole roof structure, building structure, to assess for the condition of the roofs, which it did for the northern. But the balance of the building where the vehicles and then the other addition in the back needs to be evaluated. So, because the package will have to go out to the voters of evidently for the whole design and construction and bid and everything. So we're gonna need to have that done one way or another,
Hmm.
which was asked to us, and the highway department said, you know, what about the rest of the building? So we're saying, this doesn't address that. These reports don't address that, so.
Right.
Right. I mean,
So- You need a proposal to look at the south portion of the building then, structurally and architecturally.
well, from what you just said, and correct me if I'm wrong, it doesn't sound like it's needed architecturally, just maybe structurally, just for the sprinklers.
Well, I can't tell you whether it's needed because it's not my, I haven't assessed it, so I can't make a statement it's not needed. Because then I become liable if you find something there. So I have to assess it to tell you
Right.
what my assessment is. I can't make a statement and then take on that liability. And you'll say, well, Gary said we don't need a roof assessment. Well, I'm not saying that. You're asking us, the way I'm understanding you is you're asking us to go assess it.
What needs to be done. The assessment needs
Yeah,
to be done on that
effectively,
section of the roof.
yeah, we're asking you to assess it, correct?
Right. You understand my point, right? I can't say you don't need it because then I'm taking on liability for something I know nothing about.
Can I ask Eric, was it your understanding that the whole roof was gonna get replaced or just the bad section?
I was under the impression it was the whole building, but,
Okay,
you know, that's just from my conversation with John.
right.
I know, I mean, in terms of, that's why I just said, I don't know if it needed to include the architectural. I was thinking it's possible, maybe it was just the structural. John's not here and Gary Terrell's not here, but
Right.
when John went to look at it, when Gary was inspecting it, he asked him about the other section.
Mhm.
And I think I wasn't there, but what John told me is Gary said it was a different type of truss that was more robust, and
Mhm.
I don't know if that means that.
Yeah, it's a different roof system. I mean, when we walked it, it's different.
Yeah.
It's a different roof, different steel. I mean, it's a completely different.
Design,
I don't, I mean, what I'm saying is I don't know if that means that Gary Torello, if that's an official ruling or if that's just something he said offhand.
Mhm.
That is definitely not an official statement. There's no way. That would be, if you wanted to hire the structural engineer, you don't have to hire me and have him go look at it.
Right,
But
right.
I'm sure Gary, I don't speak for the structural engineer, but I'm sure he's not going to say, oh yeah, I assessed the other roof. No way.
Cause he did.
no, he did.
Yeah.
It was a visual.
He just made a comment. It doesn't mean, if you want assessment, he has to go out there and assess it.
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I
from,
guess sorry.
go ahead, go.
I guess the confusion was the comment that was made was, this roof looks fine, we don't have to assess it, not that it's not part of our scope. And if, at that point, I think if it was brought up that we were all surprised that that wasn't included, then I guess we would have addressed it then, but here we are now.
Here we are.
So,
Yeah. I just want you to understand the process. It's always been the northern part of the building since 2017. I was never part of any discussion about the southern part. And it wasn't part of my scope and it wasn't included in my proposal.
Right.
So by hiring a third engineer or getting a proposal from a third engineer to do sprinklers for the whole building doesn't double my scope of work by
Right.
asking for that proposal.
Mhm.
Just because he's doing sprinklers in the rest of the building doesn't mean I have to go assess that roof based on my first proposal.
Mhm.
So we're just following the direction of the town of Bethel, what the town of Bethel wanted.
So Gary, a question about general drafting and design. If they do not acquire the proper insurance, and they're not part of this project, what would the next step be? Do you have other mechanical engineers you work with that could meet the insurance requirements? And do
Well, I
you,
don't, quite frankly. I haven't worked with a different mechanical engineer in many years. Because they are few and far between, and I've been disappointed in many. So as of where we are right now, Gary DiFilippo. There's 3 Garys on this job, myself, Torello, and DiFilippo. So GDD, General Drafting and Design, is pricing the data breach insurance.
Mhm.
And so am I, because my insurance agent was bought out by another company. So I asked them the same question to go back and tell me how much it would be according to the Bethel requirements. So I think step 1 is getting the quote unquote final proposal from General Drafting and Design, which would be for the sprinklers for the whole building, coordination with any of the site issues, such as bringing in the water line, the dry sprinkler system. If you go with the new roof, which I guess is really your next decision, if you go with the new roof concept, the space between the old roof and the new roof, we wouldn't want to heat that because that's, just throwing your money away. But we would have to probably put a sprinkler system in there, dry sprinkler. So he would add that to his proposal. And then he adds in the cost of all his insurances and you get a number. So I think that's really the first step before you start all over again. I mean, you could search around. I don't have anybody. And on that topic, I sent an email regarding picking a start date and an ending date for carrying these insurances. Eric, I think it was to Eric. Because we can't just have it open-ended forever carrying an insurance based on when the town of Bethel approves the project is too vague, at least for me. But then we have to carry the insurance for 3 years after that. So I proposed picking 2 years from contract to construction completion, and then 3 years after construction completion, a total of 5 years from signing of contract. And so we have some kind of time frame that we could price the insurance on.
Right.
That sounds
So
reasonable to me.
bringing that up, tonight in front of everybody.
Right.
Oh, great, thank you.
Yeah, because it's not free. It's expensive. I already have the umbrella insurance. He's going to invest in the umbrella insurance. I don't have data breach insurance. He doesn't have it, so he's going to go get a price on it.
We want to ask Gary to propose the rest of the building.
Well, we need to know what the cost would be to do it. Those
No, an assessment.
An assessment, yeah.
Oh, we could hit
Or-
for the rest of the building?
I mean, you could certainly start with the structural engineer doing an assessment.
Say that again?
Start
You
with
could,
structural.
if you want to keep your costs down, you could start with the main person is the structural engineer on the
Right.
south part of the building,
Yeah,
and ask him to do an assessment.
right,
I
Is
think it
that
would
all-
turn out fine, but I can't say.
right. Because then all of that structural assessment information would then have to be put together when design happens for the bad part of the roof, that north part. And if the other part of the roof is getting replaced, how do we do that? It might be simpler, it might not need structural. Because the north part of the roof, if we're calling it that, is going to need some kind of something to hold it up. So somebody's gonna have to design that.
That's for sure, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely the big issue.
Yeah.
And the recommendation is to span over it with a proper, structurally sound, code compliant roof with a warranty, 30-year roof, EPDM roof, whatever the current code is for insulation. And that's our recommendation.
And in your experience, is there a sort of relatively simple, not simple, but, not horribly complex, cutting a whole lot of things out way of doing that? I mean, designing something like that and then having it implemented?
Well, for me, it's fairly straightforward. The engineer, structural engineer is the man has to dig in there and figure out how he wants to support the structure. He did
Right.
say the big bar joists, you have really big bar joists in there that are carrying most of the load, and smaller bar joists in between. He said the big ones are good. He believes they're fine. It's all the intermediate bar joists he can't support anything off of. So he would work out, I'm assuming he would extend the columns that are there, weld new pieces. It's just an assumption on my end. I can't speak for him, but he's going to have to obviously bring up columns to support the new bar joists. So
Right.
he may have to cut a hole in the roof, get a welding crew up there. You know, it's going to be pretty detailed drawings on all of this. And it's definitely going to be inspected by a special inspector, and penetrate in various places to bring up the steel through the existing roof. And then how he does what he wants to do above there. Exactly. I don't know how he would want to support it. Two other issues that brings up to consider are the phasing of the project. Because you're gonna have to move people out during some of this. Because you can't have a crane putting bar joists, dropping bar joists up there while there's people inside working.
Right.
So something to put into the future thinking is, can we move people out for a period of time? Where would they go? Can they go into the south portion of the building? Do we rent trailers?
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's a big cost, actually. That's one reason to do the new roof is that part is much simpler than if you tried to piecemeal and repair the existing. With welders
Right.
working above would be just a nightmare.
Well, because people would have to move out for a much longer period of time. Yeah. And.
Yeah. So you have some operations there that are probably specific to that, whatever, division of the city, you know, maybe truck repair, maybe there's other things going on there. Where to put them? Do they move to the adjacent garage for a period of months? Probably the simplest, easiest thing to do is just move them next door, but I certainly can't speak to if you have the space available.
Right.
But that would be, to me, the simplest, easiest.
Hey, Tom, just to get back to your question a few minutes ago, I do think that at a minimum, it's probably worth asking both Gary Tarantino and Gary Torello what a fee estimate would be for the assessments of the rest of the building. You know, we can always, with whatever that number comes up to, it's probably, you know, we can cross that bridge when we get to it, but it's probably worth asking for that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we should get both of them, and whether we
Right.
choose to go with
Yes,
the
yes,
engineer right
yes.
now.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Because we have to.
Yes.
Everyone on this side of the table is expecting the entire roof to be repaired, so we have to go down that road. So Gary, if you could, I think we're asking you to give us a proposal for the architectural, and I guess we'll request directly, or if you want to connect with Torello.
Well, we'll put it right, the town has to put it in writing.
Okay.
To request both galleries to have a proposal for their services to assess the rest of the roof structure for the building.
south side.
Okay.
South side or however, for the vehicle garage and then the extra. Kathy, what do you call the other extension off the back, the newest one?
For the highway garage, all the town vehicles.
Well,
Oh, I would just say, Roger, the entire rest of the building south of the parapet wall.
Yeah.
okay. So south of the parapet wall, correct.
We'll have to word that.
We'll have,
Request
we'll have
for-
to word that, the
Yeah.
town, we'll have to word that. yes.
Yeah, I think we
can
can,
put a diagram in there. too.
Yeah.
yeah. So I think we should sort of quote officially contact both Gary
Yeah.
Tarantino and Gary Torello with some kind of something in writing, an email, what we're looking for, because Gary Tarantino is saying we don't really need him, we need the engineer.
Right.
Yet
But we're gonna need to see all the costs if we're gonna have to go to finance.
And the selectmen, yeah.
Well, right, but if we're not asking him to do design right now, we're just looking for a structural assessment.
Oh, right.
Right,
Do we
that's what we're
need,
talking about. Yeah, and an architectural assessment,
okay,
structural assessment and an architectural assessment.
okay. Well, he was saying we didn't need it, so.
Yeah, I guess. the que-
If I could, if I could just add, if I could just add, one of the things we had talked about earlier today is making sure that we give Gary the instructions of what we exactly want him to do by putting together a clear and concise program. So what I would volunteer to do is meet with the committee and with Eric and look at the building and then come up with a specific program that he can provide us a proposal for.
Agree.
Okay.
And then there's nothing left out, right? And we want to make sure that if Gary's giving us a proposal, that everything that we expect is in it, right? So it'll give us a week or two to put that all together as exactly as and as concisely as possible, so that when we ask Gary to give us a proposal, he's giving us exactly what we've asked for and everyone's in agreement with it.
Good, okay.
Excuse me, Gary, do you know Mark? And Mark, do you know Gary? I'm just,
I don't think we met the
never
first
met,
night.
but
Hi.
nice to meet you, Gary.
I just want to make sure. Okay.
Mark's with STV. He's been our owner's rep on quite a few projects here in town. So we're looping him in now in case we take on STV as an owner's rep on this project.
Terrific.
Okay.
All right, I guess that's it for right now.
Yeah,
Right?
I think that's,
Anything else?
is there anything else, Gary, that you want to make sure that we know about, before we?
I guess we're looking down the road, but you may want to start thinking, about a budget for this new roof. If you choose to go that way, I think you're in $1 million plus range by the time we're done. And it's just off the cuff, nothing other than intuition, but it's going to be in that range, I think.
And you're talking about just that northern part,
Yes.
not the whole, so,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, to span
Okay.
maybe $1 million. I'm just guessing. I can't hold me to it. Maybe it's $1 million
Yep.
too, but
Yeah.
it's almost 11,000 square feet of new roof structure and new roof decking and new roof insulation, and then I assume an EPDM roof, plus the sidewalls all have to be built. Plus there's mechanical work involved. And it doesn't include the sprinkler system. That's just kind of the
And
northern
so,
part of the building, the structure and architecture. So it's not a small amount of money.
Nope.
Just so you have
And-
it, something to get, just to put into the thinking process.
right, that's helpful.
It's not going to be a $500,000 job.
Right,
Is the most cost-effective roof going to be a flat insulated EPDM roof?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Pitch.
Well, it has pitch, yes,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's generally considered a flat roof.
but you go over top
No,
of
but I
it,
think
not
You know,
with this.
there's gonna be
But
no
with
slope to it,
this-
yeah.
But we'll be able to design it to pitch. You only have gutters on one side of that building where the doors are, the northern side. So, but
Right.
the roof pitches 3 ways now. So somebody decided to eliminate gutters. Somebody changed something 50 years ago. So we would pitch just one way, but we'd have to set the steel so that all the water goes where we want it to, instead of what's happening now where it's puddling everywhere. And it'd be I think the code is 1/4 inch per foot. So you'd have at least 20 inches of pitch up there.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions or?
No, I think that's, I'm sorry.
We'll probably come up with some eventually, but not right now.
Sure.
Well, we appreciate all your input and, I guess we'll have to come up with some specifics so we can get a further assessment and then have to figure out going from there, because if the other roof doesn't need to be replaced yet, what does the town, do we have to come up with two different plans for two different sections and then figuring out what the town wants to spend money on?
Well, the two sections are divided by a concrete parapet wall.
Right,
So one doesn't make you do the other.
right,
You could do whatever, whatever is, to me, the most pressing is definitely the north. But
Right.
that doesn't mean you have to do anything on the south.
right.
Because you're doing the north, you don't have to do the south. If the south needs it, that's a separate issue.
Right.
I mean, are you leaking? Or does the roof leak? Is there any
There's a roof.
problem on the south side?
Vehicle
I
area?
know you're talking about it. It does occasionally have things,
Okay.
but not as the other ones.
Yeah,
So maybe the drains back up or something? or it's
That
just-
was that's got a pitch to it. It's not a flat roof.
Right.
right.
If there's any drains up there.
Okay, is that it for Gary? Just, we don't want to take up
Yeah,
more of his time, but I think we have enough questions. Eric?
No, I'm good.
That's
Thank you.
great. Thank you, Gary.
All right, thank you
Okay,
very
thank
much.
you so much. Appreciate it. Nice to meet everybody finally.
Thanks. We'll be
Same.
back
Thank you.
in touch. Thanks.
Thanks, Derek.
Care.
Evening. Thank you.
So then we'll have to get with Mark if Mark's offering to help out a little. I think we'll take well by.
Yeah, we have,
Helpful for you.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of got.
Were you at the meeting today? I was.
Yes.
Flipping. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, he was
Well,
there.
Yeah.
And Kathy was there and
yeah,
Mike
no,
was.
it was a good meeting and we talked, Mark said he could price, all these projects up different ways. He can itemize them and he could take us through pre-construction. He could take us through entire construction. He can help us with RFPs,
Right,
which I think would be very helpful.
right.
Because
We have had some situations where someone gives us, like, starting with a construction manager at risk, starts with just get us to an amount to take to referendum for X fee. And then gets approved at referendum. Well, now we've got to go and another RFP has to go out. So, yeah, we've done some sections of this, get you to point A costs this much, get you to point B costs this much. And
I think that's the only way we can do it now, because I would agree with what, Mark was saying earlier. I don't know how he proposes managing a project that has no details, so.
right.
We'd have to start with the pre-construction and then go from there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
Mark, any other comments on that, just presentation by Gary?
No, I didn't have any idea what had been done in the past with that, but, it was good to hear. So, like I suggested, I think the key there is just to make sure that if we're gonna go forward with Gary, that we give him a specific list of deliverables of tasks that we want him to do as part of his evaluation. And, go from there. And if there are other sub-consultants that he needs to bring in, I would want them to fall under him.
well, if I may, Mark, I mean, I'll.
Sure.
So I didn't want to, and I don't want to be too, well, I'll hold back since this is a publicly recorded meeting, but I wasn't very happy with what Gary had to say in terms of his explanation. We didn't tell you at the meeting earlier, but we just found out this morning that he was under the impression that he was only doing the northern section of the building. Everybody involved in this project the entire time thought we were doing the entire building. So and frankly, I'm kind of flabbergasted at some of the things he said, but anyway, I'll just throw this out here and consider this my opinion, just off the cuff if you want, but if they finish these assessments, let's say the two guys finish these assessments, I think we should definitely go out to RFP for the design I'm kind of opposed. I'm maybe contradicting myself of 9 months ago when I made that other presentation, but I'm not happy with the way he's organizing this. And Mark, you're not aware of this, but Gary kind of wants to work as a team and kind of acts like a general contractor, but he's not willing to take on subs. So in it's kind of, in my opinion, he's kind of offshoring the risk onto us, but taking the benefit for himself.
Right. Okay, so maybe we need to have a further discussion offline about how we procure that work.
Yeah, because there are some architectural firms who don't have internal engineers or,
Yeah, I mean,
it's like,
90% of the architecture firms out there will hire an engineer as their sub, and they will be part of their team all day long. So,
Yeah.
including structural engineers and sometimes code specialists. One of the things that I'm most concerned about is the idea of building a roof over a roof. I'm not sure I agree with that. Understanding that you've got a deteriorating structure that you're just going to leave in place to continue to deteriorate while you build a roof over the top and add a dry sprinkler system to the interstitial space. I think that's more labor intensive than demolishing the roof and building a new one. So,
that it's part of the structure.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I think his pros and cons are accurate. Whether there's a second opinion of a different approach, I think figure that out. Now, have you ever dealt with the opposite of what you said, where an architectural firm will sub out engineers? And I'm not advocating that we hire them, but like a Kohler Ronan, if they're a mechanical structural engineer, would they ever go out and hire an architectural firm to do the?
There are firms that are, big E, little a firms out there that operate engineering wise first. But if you're going to replace a roof, you're going to need an architect to design the new roof to current code. So either you're going to need the architect, and
An engineer can't do that?
no.
Okay.
No. Engineers aren't typically, they can do the roof structure, but they're not the roof designers.
Unless he's a licensed architect, but
Right.
far between.
Gotcha. Okay.
No, again, I've only been listening to this for half an hour and just gained information earlier today. So I have to caveat what I'm saying, but my perspective is let's make sure we have a clear written program with deliverables in place and have another discussion offline about whether we want to go back to Gary or we want to put that out on the street to 2 or 3 architects that we would want. And this is my preference. I would want the architects to carry within their fee a structural engineer and a mechanical and electrical engineer.
Agreed. So at this point, we don't even know if we would have a mechanical engineer that would work.
Right,
We would have to contract directly.
right.
And then I don't know how that team would work out.
Yeah, you want to keep that risk on their side, not on your side.
Because in doing that with like having a bunch of different, like the firing range, we had several different people, and having them all under one is much more efficient. And you make sure all your bases are covered, so to speak. You don't miss stuff.
Having talked to him about the insurance going through this whole process, I can tell you right now, we would have to contract with all 3 of them individually.
And they would each have to have,
Which would not be ideal for us.
I also think that in getting these initial assessments, it was, I think, okay with the town for getting proposals and then going to finance, getting the money to do we asked them to do. But if we're going to, it's gonna be larger, we're asking to a whole design to be completed, like, you know, MEP, structural, et cetera, that the town may not be okay with just getting one person say, here's how much it's gonna cost. We may have to do an RFP.
Well, I think we talked about that today with Dan Carter, that potentially in a week or so, I guess the number one is the highway garage, number two, which we're gonna talk in a minute about the animal shelter, but, and I think you said within about a week or so, you can get back with some type of an RFP outline draft so that, the town could possibly follow.
I could get back with a proposal for our STV.
Yes.
And from that standpoint, and even before then, I'd be happy to sit down and start putting together, you know, kind of programmatic information so that we know what that RFP kind of needs to look like. But my perspective on it would be certainly, let's first step besides hiring STV, you know, put that aside. But first step is programmatic information. What are we doing? When do we want it done by? How do we want it done? And what is the information we're looking for from our consultants? And then I think it's safe to assume that we need to put this out and get a minimum of 3 bids.
Yeah. Would it be possible to, if we did go, once we put something together, to ask for assessment of the rest of the building, structural, architectural, taking all that information, could we come up with an overall design, obviously, that kind of separates one from the other, and then you get 2 different amounts, and if the town says, oh, that's way too much, let's do the north part first, and then do the other part another time?
You can always break it up into phasing.
Yeah,
But as for the, you know, building evaluation, so to speak, the structural and the roof evaluation, right? Let's not say building evaluation.
Yeah.
Let's just say structural and roof evaluation. We would want that done all at once. I think that makes the most sense. Let's have that completely done. And Gary's already given us one, I assume, and we can take a peek at that and use that as reference. But I wouldn't want to keep that as gospel. I'd rather have somebody else give us a number, or not necessarily a number, but a report for both sections of the building. We'll call it section A and section B, or phase 1 and phase 2. And then as we go into the design of those 2 roofs, we can again put those out as phase 1 and phase 2, and then have the contractor give us 3 prices, 1 for phase 1, 1 for phase 2, and 1 to do it all at the same time.
yeah.
Mark, are you saying you want to put out, forget about construction, but for where we're at now, are you saying
Yep.
put out an RFP for both assessment and design?
No, we get the assessment done
So
first,
you're saying, okay,
I think.
or
Assessment first.
you're saying,
Build, you know, roofing and structural assessment, number 1. That's the first thing we do.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah, let's make sure that if we're going to replace the roof in the southern section, that the structure is capable of handling it.
Right. I was just suggesting that, like, once we had all the assessments done, we could divide it into 2 phases. And if we come up with an amount that's okay, and we just go with it, fine. If we can only do 1 phase and then have to wait a couple of years for another phase, we might have to redo plans, but,
I would try to sell it as 1 project, but 2 phases.
yeah.
So I agree with the assessment first. My only question is, how's this different than the high school roof, where we had Silver Petroselli and the other bidders price it as a lump sum assessment and design? And why would
I wasn't involved in that, unfortunately, so I couldn't
Oh,
tell
right.
you.
And how is this different? And what we want?
Yeah, well, kind
So
of,
for the high school roof, we had
Yeah.
4 bidders go out and they bid everything, the assessment and the design in 1 lump sum. So just wondering.
Well, I
I think that's
Well,
how
on-
the Board of Ed put together.
Okay.
Yeah, cause we want to see if it's even needed on the south side. And then when come back, the first assessment might be like, you're good for another 15, I don't think so, but I'm saying it could.
Right.
All right,
Good.
yeah, we
That's it.
know the roof is shot.
Yeah, the high school, we know it's well past its lifespan. We
Right.
already had somebody tell us that it needs to get fixed.
Yeah.
So that, I think that's a slightly different scenario.
Okay.
I mean, that's how I'm rationalizing.
No,
it.
I agree. That makes sense.
What were you gonna say?
No, I kind of agree with
Dave?
what you said.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, I personally highly doubt that they'll say you're good for 15
Right,
years,
right.
but I'm not a structural engineer. They might go in there and say, oh no, we've, based on what we see here, you can just patch this one spot that's leaking and you're good for
Yeah.
another thing, weld up this little thing and you're done.
Which is what you've been doing for years,
Yeah.
right, Kathy?
Yes, Kathy doesn't want to hear that.
I'm not proposing that. I'm just
You
saying,
ran out of chewing gum.
I think that's why I agree with Martin. I do the assessment first,
Yep,
Yeah.
see where we stand.
Yep.
Then we say, all right, now we got a starting point.
Yep.
Let's dive into the deep end or let's take this slow,
All right, so I guess to summarize, STV is coming up with a contract or a proposal for
Right.
work with the town of Bethel. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is then, if it's agreed upon, you come up with the proposal RFP for the assessment of the south side of the building. So at least then we have,
No.
or the whole building, sorry.
I would do the whole building, right?
do an assessment on the south side.
Just a scope of work. for
Yeah, yeah.
Gary and Gary to.
Sorry, that's
For
right.
this.
It wouldn't need to
yes.
be that elaborate,
Right,
Right.
just a scope of work. And maybe we can put that, the three of us could put that together and then
Yeah.
just run it by Mark for his review.
Yeah, I think it probably makes sense for Mark, Eric, and Roger, and or myself. You guys,
Dave or
and
somebody.
whoever,
Yeah, whoever.
pull somebody else in. Have a meeting and discuss the specifics, the process, and go from there.
I agree.
All right,
Okay, with that being said, so to move on. why don't we-
Roger will set that meeting up.
Okay.
We got it all through. All right, I make a motion to approve invoice number 2 from Gary J. Tarantino Architect in the amount, dated February 28th, 2026, in the amount of $4,500, which would meet his 100% balance.
Second.
Second.
Okay, I didn't know if you were, gonna-
Yeah,
I wasn't sure if you
I
were
was
gonna
just-
say
I was-
more.
I was floundering there, yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments on this?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes and this is approved.
Okay,
Something I realized that we did not do was, it's not,
Oh.
just introduce ourselves to Gary. Even
Yeah.
though some of us already met him, but we should have done that. That would have been, yeah. Anyways. I always forget that.
okay, so, not to keep Mark on too much longer, so at the meeting today at 3:00 with first selectman, Kathy, I was there, Eric, and, Tom was on. We talked about this, the highway briefly. Eric sends some information to Mark about the highway drawings, okay. Then we talked about the animal shelter. And, STV will potentially assist with the proposal or, all the process for the animal shelter. First with the site assessments, with the original site that's on there now, and possibly one or two others. And then the building and all that. Is that about, I'm just
Yeah.
trying to summarize,
No, that's good. I think to clarify, I think we need to really finalize, are we going after the existing site as a priority? And then it came up in today's meeting. Are we definitely going after Clark Park? Or that's,
I think we need to have Dan's input on that. But there's like a little bit of,
yeah, there's politics, I think.
yeah,
right.
A little bit.
a little bit.
So I think we need to nail Dan down on that
Yeah,
because this
yeah.
is just, this keeps just going.
Well, were you there for the part, I don't remember, but, so Dan had, well, EDC is doing their own sort of site assessment for a few of the parcels, including two of the ones we were looking at in Clark Park. So maybe we should wait for that to come out and then see where that was, and then I think he might have clearer perspective on it as
Okay.
well, so once they finish.
Are they looking at
They're not,
using it for something or?
yeah, they're not doing the sort of, they're not going to the level we would want to go to with like
Right.
soil borings. and
Right, right.
geotech, but I don't really know the genesis of what their study was.
They're evaluating it to determine the feasibility of selling them to, whoever, so they want to know what conditions are there to make it more advantageous
For selling, but not to use for some other town project or
It's just general, right? It's just a
They
general.
want the
that
tax.
could
passable.
poke a little piece. So just-
Okay,
They want
yeah, so we
taxes
should
for
get that.
how many years.
Any idea when they're gonna make that decision?
They were supposed to have the SLR thing was gonna be, it was postponed at the last board of selectmen meeting. We were going to be discussed at the next one. And then I think that if I remember correctly, almost said something about having it back within, I think a month. It was fairly quick that they were gonna have an assessment.
Okay. Again, that's more of an economic assessment, not necessarily
Right.
soil testing.
No, it's more like, yeah, they won't go into it as extensive kind of
Right.
considerations and testing.
So
Now, the
we
board of
can't-
selectmen should be.
It was also kind of clear the air, if,
yeah, everything's
until they get that, we may keep both going after the same site for different purposes.
Right. And until we know that, we really can't do anything because we don't have any backup sites.
I don't want to keep Mark on any longer, so I don't think we have anything more with the animal shelter. So we'll be talking more, I guess, in the next week or so after you
Sure.
get a proposal in and then what
Yep.
to do. But Eric shared with you some of the site information, some of the
Right, right.
initial draft drawings of it and all that. So at least you get a good feeling of what has to be done and what needs to be done. And then I guess eventually one or two sites or whatever assessments and
Sure.
soil analysis.
So,
phase-
we're excited to be part of it. So, I look forward to it.
Yeah, Mark, I think I could sense from your reaction today that when Eric did the overlay of those wetlands, I think you had the same reaction we all did, that we're gonna need some backup sites.
Yeah, I'm never comfortable with tight sites with wetlands and especially if you're looking at a slab on grade facility. I mean, it's just there's just a few things that makes me nervous about wetlands and its closeness to a facility like that.
Right.
Tight sites with wetlands, that's what we specialize here.
So I would say if the economic development is supposed to come up with something for the next board of selectmen meeting, which should be next Tuesday.
Or, yeah, I think they would probably get the study kicked off. If that's next Tuesday, probably get the study.
Oh, that's kicking the study off. Got it.
And then
They're
they'll
not,
probably need a month or month.
Got it. I thought you were saying they were gonna bring the study to the board of selectmen next.
No,
next
no, they
meeting.
gotta get it
Okay.
approved, because Dan, what did Dan ask to add this site in, right?
I asked, well, I said that we should add the current location in for them to do it, just to see what they think.
Yeah.
That being something that we could sell later on, just in case you do move, right?
Right.
Doesn't hurt to add it.
And he added it, right? I never.
That's
heard- okay.
that's why they delayed it, was to be able to add in to the list.
Okay.
So we don't need to keep Mark, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we're talking among us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mark,
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome, everyone. Thank you.
and have a good evening. Thank you.
All right, talk soon.
Our next meeting would be the 17th, according to the schedule. Other than special meetings or all those stuff they've been doing with Board of Finance on the budget, so that kicks it off. Got it. Thanks.
So at the pace we're going, I think we're gonna be yeah, not to be pessimistic, it's gonna be tough to get a building done by 2028 when all these shelter codes change.
The thing is, I think, with the state, as long as you're looking, like you're actively
You're trying?
pursuing it,
Okay.
I think that
Good.
they'll work with you. If
Okay.
you're doing like what we've been doing, which
Yeah, no,
so that's why
Yeah.
originally they kind of grandfathered it in, they were, okay, well, and then they were like, okay, you gotta fix it, and now they're like, all right, you've been kicking it down the road for 10+ years, you need to do it. So I think as long as you're,
Yeah, they
looking,
appreciate good.
you know,
faith.
you're
Okay.
trying to do
Yeah.
something and you have
Good
something
effort, yeah.
in process,
Yeah.
then they'll be more accepting of it.
Yeah, we've got like RFPs out there and, you know, starting design and
Yeah.
like that.
But that's
Okay.
one of the reasons why having Mark, you know, an owner's rep to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Will be key, because then you're showing faith that you're
Okay.
moving in the
Okay,
right
good.
direction. You could be wrong,
Good.
but I'm just saying, I think if you show faith,
Can I
you're
come,
doing something.
can I come back to Tom? I think you suggested a meeting between us and Mark to talk about the roof, the whole. Is that just, what was your?
Yeah, I think we're gonna, because without Matt's around, I think someone's gotta lead this and we have to write, especially if you go out to other bidders, we're gonna have to have a clear, so we don't have. a
Yeah, yeah.
So someone's gonna have to do that.
What I was gonna suggest, and Kathy, tell me what you think. Do you think we should invite Joe Kiss to that? Talk about the
Our
roof in
current
general?
conditions. It's part, this offshore construction is our current roofing company. So they're the ones that are always up there, and he does a ton of pictures, he takes pictures of everything, he has it all made out, so he might be
Yeah.
worthy to.
I'm just suggesting that because you know, you could probably say, oh, you know, I know there's a hole here, 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 and here. He knows that roof better than me.
Yeah,
for the highway garage.
The highway garage.
Yeah, no, right,
So
yeah.
we continue to do patch repairs every so
Yeah.
often. I think.
Well, on the north one, how about the,
I'm talking the whole thing.
all of them have.
He's done, I mean, the most recent ones, I think, were on the north, but there was one over Big's office, which is on the south.
no, I think Vic's office is still in the.
No, I
it's
think
not.
it's on the other south side of the parking lot.
Well, that's,
Actually, I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
I wanna say it's all in.
Well, the more information is better.
Yeah,
You know, and then we know exactly what to tell Mark
Yeah.
so that he can have
Yeah.
a, you know, to get the information, to get the process going.
you know what? Actually, the other good thing about Joe Kiss is he's probably the only person with continuous
He's been here for.
multi-year
Oh, knowledge.
experience with that roof. All the rest of us have been in or out. Even Gary Tarantino was kind of out of the roof for 8 years, so.
And this is a contractor.
A roofing
These
contract?
are
Yes.
roofing contractors, they do all the roofs.
What's the name?
Offshore construction.
Offshore.
yeah, and doesn't the town contract with them, not just to do repairs, but, to evaluate roofs periodically? They'll check this roof, check that roof.
They do a lot of preventive.
They
Yeah,
don't have an engineering department too.
No, but
Or not.
you'll meet Joe Kiss. He's a very like,
you know.
he'll start designing things on a piece of paper while you're talking. to
Yeah.
him. He's very idea oriented.
And then he probably knows a lot of people too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Gary might not.
I mean, it sounds like we're probably gonna end up with a Silver Petroselli or a Lakebrook or these other guys that did the high school. If we choose that, it's gonna be too big of a headache to go with the Gary's.
I think even if Gary end up winning it somehow, I think just writing it down in RFP is just necessary.
That's
Only
yeah.
because
Well, I think that's what Dan Carter said.
just the nail it all down.
From now on,
Yeah,
he knows why we chose these people, but,
and Mark was saying the same thing.
and we should just put it always out.
We just need to have everything down.
I mean, that's easier said than done, but I'm just saying, it's
Yeah.
standard operation.
Yeah.
I think he said.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked, the last thing is the community center renovation, no other information, we're gonna table that. Even Dan said today, you know, we spent money for some drawing years ago and it's probably useless and, you know, we have to reinvent the wheel again and probably, you know, so there is no direction right now for the community center renovation, as far as he said.
Municipal center.
Yeah, for the locker room.
That,
permit.
that end of the building.
Okay, so any other questions?
Motion
Okay.
adjourned.
We second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
go home.
8:31, all right.
It's 29.